Good evening from Raleigh, North Carolina on this evening of Thursday, December the 7th, 2017. Recording this video shortly after 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we still have winter weather on the docket to talk about for today for our potential of a rain-snow mix tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow night into Saturday morning, as the models kind of want to stretch the system out a little bit more and kind of prolong it to see how long it can stick around and be a nuisance forecast. But the good news is that it will be a low-impact event. There may be someone who ends up with a surprise couple inches of snow, but this will not be any kind of detrimental impacts to travel or anything like that because of surface temperatures and the ground temperatures being so warm. This should not be a messy event by any means. It should just be kind of a nice little introduction to winter and shouldn't be very low impact. And we'll discuss that with some of the official forecasts later, and we'll talk about how it really should not be that big of a deal and more of just kind of a passing little introduction to winter, like I just said. So reviewing our basic elements for winter weather here, we need to look at temperatures at the surface, temperatures aloft in the column of air above the surface, the ground temperatures, which is, when I say surface temperatures, I mean just above the ground, like, 10 meters above the ground. When I say ground temperatures, I mean soil temperatures, or what you would worry about when you're talking about accumulations or things like that. That's what I mean between surface and ground temperature. So we'll take a look at surface temperatures, temperatures aloft above the ground, soil temperatures, and we'll also look at moisture. And we'll review all of those in the next couple of minutes and kind of review what we're looking at here and what kind of impacts we can expect. So to start off here, we're looking at the HRRR model, or High Resolution Rapid Refresh model, and it's the most sophisticated model we currently have in operation in the United States. That's going to show, I think, 15 hours in advance. It's going to show hour by hour using conditions of the atmosphere now. It puts those in an equation and cranks out what it thinks the atmosphere is going to do. So I'm going to zoom this back and let me check on this latest model run. It's 89% complete here, so we'll go ahead and use this one for now. But this is basically showing what is valid for 1Z, and keep in mind 0Z is 7 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time. So this is predicting what it's right now, and you can see by my mouse here, it's kind of indicating some point temperatures. But here we are in Central North Carolina. We're in the 40s, and if I drag this forward in time, you can see, the first ingredient we need is surface temperatures to be below freezing if you want, winter precipitation. You can see temperatures, you might think, oh, that's looking good, but then, okay, let's stop at 12Z here, which is 7 a.m., and we're still in the 40s, mid-30s, upper 30s, not quite to that level of below freezing or freezing temperatures you would ideally want to see any kind of accumulating winter precipitation. And if we keep going throughout the day, you can see that nothing really changes. We kind of drop a little bit down in the mid-30s, but we're never getting anywhere close to freezing, which is certainly not what you want to hear if you're a snow lover, but that is certainly good news in terms of travel impacts, because temperatures will remain above, you say, 35 degrees all day tomorrow. And this run has not finished completing yet, but if we go back an hour and extend that couple extra hours, you can see that we never get below freezing, and we're not forecast to get below freezing until I think Saturday morning. I've been so focused on this event, I haven't looked past it yet, but we should not get below freezing at any time during this event that any potential snow may be falling. So that's a look at our surface temperatures. Now let's look above the surface, and you might look at this and think, what the heck am I looking at here? And this is a sounding. So this is the ground, and this is on this axis here. This is height and a pressure of millibars. So basically, imagine you're taking a cross section of the atmosphere, and right here we're at the ground, and this diagonal line here is 0, so it's the freezing line, and that's important because what we want, this red line represents air temperature, and this green temperature represents dew point. And you see so many lines, it kind of looks like spaghetti because this is an ensemble forecast, in-car ensemble forecast, like you can see here. And I've selected the Raleigh area, and what we're looking at here is you want this red line to be to the left of this diagonal 0 freezing degree line, 0 degrees Celsius, at all times if you want snow. If you have any part of it jutting out on the right side of that line, you have what's called a warm nose, or a shallow layer of warm air that's not going to allow for any winter precipitation to fall. You get sleet when you have a little kind of jut out and it melts and then refreezes just in time, and freezing rain occurs when it stays freezing just until the surface. But this is not going to be an ice storm. This is not a freezing rain threat because temperatures will not be that low. So if I go forward here in time and look at our valid time here, so let's fast forward to Friday morning, let's say 7 a.m. So here we are again. with most ensembles want to keep it very close to that freezing line, but just above it. This text is kind of distracting here, but if you look, we're only above freezing right at the surface, so this would actually support snow falling if the precipitation rates could be heavy enough and kind of bring that snow falling to the ground. So if these lines were to kind of cross over this diagonal line here, that's the magic line, if those were to cross over, that would be indicative of a sleet storm, or freezing rain would only happen in certain special cases, will not be an ice storm, but sleet would occur if this is kind of jutting out over that line. But if we go forward here, you can see those lines are kind of forecast, with the exception of maybe just a few of the ensemble members, a few models thinking maybe it could get above that freezing. But what that means, basically, if I kind of toggle between these hours, is that the environment is set up to where snow could fall. It's just a matter of, will it melt before it gets to the ground? And that's why we're saying rain-snow mix, because if precipitation rates are heavy enough, you may remember in the summertime we talk about water actually having enough momentum to, if you have heavy enough rainfall, it can actually bring down the severe damaging winds you might hear. You might hear that in a warning, a microburst or something like that is actually when the momentum from all the falling rain actually brings those winds to the surface. The same thing can happen with snow and in winter precipitation. If the rainfall rate is heavy enough, that can actually bring that snow down to the ground, and we could see some flakes mixing in and have a transition to snow and then a transition back to rain, which would obviously cut into any snow that falls and sticks. But that's kind of the situation there. So that's kind of a complex dynamic factor to look at. And moving on to soil temperature here, this is an easy concept to understand. If these temperatures shown on the map here, which are representing soil temperature, are not at or below freezing, stuff's going to have a really hard time sticking to hard surfaces. Elevated surfaces are where you're likely to see any kind of snow accumulation, like on tree branches or on grills, on decks, on tops of cars, roofs. But with 50 degrees, 49 degrees, these may drop slightly tomorrow with our temperatures in the upper 30s, but this is nowhere close to where you want to see temperatures if you want any kind of snow accumulation. So that is certainly good news for roads, as roads should not be a problem at all. There might be some damp roads that we may have to look out for, some potential freezes later down the road next week, or into Sunday morning, I should say, something like that. But no frozen precipitation should cause any problems on the road. So that is certainly good news. So jumping back here, what does all that mean in terms of what's going to happen at my house? Well, it's very complicated. Winter precipitation is very complicated to forecast, so I'm going to stop this loop. So we're looking at that same high resolution rapid refresh model here, and I'm going to stop this loop to where I can drag it. And you can see that rain's going to build in overnight. So when we're going to sleep tonight, you might have a few sprinkles, and then we'll wake up to some rain in the morning. So this 12Z, that's Zulu time, that means 7 a.m. Eastern time. So when we're waking up for our morning commute, it has some rain showers moving in. Don't pay too much attention to these blips here of these different colors, as that's kind of just, it's trying to resolve differences in kind of the microphysics of the weather model. But what you do want to notice here is down in Alabama, they have a pretty good chance, I think there's winter weather advisories out here, of getting some, a decent little dusting, a coating of snow, maybe an inch or so. Down in Atlanta is right in this interesting zone where we'll have to see what happens. But this is going to continue, and this moisture is all being pulled in from the Atlantic Ocean here, where there's a low pressure that's going to form here and carry up the coast, and that's what's bringing in our moisture for cold air moving from down here. And that's why it's kind of a tough forecast, because the cold air is kind of, they're getting here at the same time, and we're interested to see who's going to win. The models think that the precipitation is going to get here first, and it might kind of dwindle out before the cold air kind of comes in, which is why we're not confident this will be a completely snow event. It's probably going to be a rain-snow mix, very minimal impact. But if the cold air was already in place, that would be a very different story, because it would likely all fall as snow. That is not the case for this event. The cold air and the precipitation are kind of at a race, and depending on who gets here is going to be the story of what's going to happen. It looks like that precipitation is going to kind of run out. That moisture is going to, the supply of that's going to run out before the really cold air gets here and settles in for all snow. So going into the morning here, this runs up until about 1 p.m. and you can see it's just kind of a mess here. It can't really resolve what's going to go on, and some of this could fall as snow. You could be seeing some light rain. It could be a whole mixed bag of things. That's going to be something we have to wait and see. But the big takeaway here is that we don't really know exactly where that line's going to set up. It could set up in somewhere in Raleigh. It could set up somewhere in the Triad. It could set up pretty much anywhere, and that's going to be important to who's going to see snow flurries and some snowflakes mixed in, who may see a period of some light snow that may accumulate on some grassy surfaces, and who just sees rain. I think Fayetteville, I think Goldsboro, I think you're safely in the rain. I think the Triad safely in the kind of snow category. seeing some light snow, but anywhere in Central North Carolina is kind of fair game for that transition zone. So going ahead, I think I may come back to that. What we're looking at here is, I hesitate to show this. This is the North American mesoscale model, and I don't like looking at deterministic models or models that show one solution based on one set of initial conditions, but this is the best kind of depiction of what a kind of a futurecast looks like. So every time I click here, we're going forward an hour in time, and you can see same kind of deal. The rain's building in Central North Carolina here, and then that transition zone, and the NAM model here wants to, you know, kind of go here, and you know, this is not exactly what the radar is going to look like. There's not going to be a gap here and a gap here. I mean, this is just kind of resolving the best it can. Who knows what the radar will look like, but you can see it's kind of going back and forth, and the moisture goes back and forth. But one thing, what I'm mainly wanting to show here is that, okay, we're already at 7 a.m. Saturday now, and this is still hanging around. Earlier, it had been kind of moving it out quicker, but this actually wants them to linger, you know, have it linger around a little bit more. And if I go forward one more click or so, it's actually wanting to paint something we call a deformation band, and we call it that because it's kind of deformed. It's removed from the storm system, which is now up here, and it would kind of be like a last kind of breath of the storm, kind of swooping through and giving a quick dusting. That would all fall as snow if that did indeed set up, and then finally it clears out of here by 21Z, which I think, or 18Z is 1 p.m., so this would be 4 p.m. So midday Saturday, finally it goes away and some colder air settles in here. But the main takeaway here is that it wants to keep the precipitation here longer, and what kind of precipitation that is, that still remains the question, but it's turning it into a longer event. That will not affect the impact level. It's still going to be very minimal impact, but it just means we could have a quick burst of maybe some snow flurries or light snow on Saturday afternoon, which would certainly be a treat, especially since it's not causing any issues on the roads. So summing all of this up into what it means for your location, what it means in your backyard, well, here's a look at expected snowfall from the National Weather Service at Raleigh. Really, you know, sad numbers if you're a snow lover like I am. Less than an inch, that's the expected snowfall. It's not going to be a major event. Some locations, if some heavier kind of convective snow bands set up, might get, you know, a surprise inch or maybe an inch or two, but overall this is kind of what's expected, and this line is going to determine who gets disappointed and who gets, you know, a coating of snow on the grass and on their back deck. And that's what's expected, though. It's a very, very small chance. And here's another percentage, a probabilistic map kind of showing a percent chance of who gets 1/10 of an inch of snow or more. You know, all these locations kind of averaging that 50% all in Central North Carolina. There's, you know, hot spot here, but that's just based on model guidance. It's hit or miss. I would say right now that I think Central North Carolina is going to see some snowflakes tomorrow. I don't think it's going to amount to much at all, but it will be fun to watch, to see, because especially since there's no impact on roads, it's not going to be an impactful event. It'll be interesting to watch kind of and learn from this going forward, if we have any other winter storms, which certainly looks possible with our cold air kind of staying in place through at least Christmas time, Christmas Day. So we'll keep an eye on that. Nothing on the docket yet to kind of talk about, but certainly a pattern that's, you know, with cold air in place, like we were talking about earlier. If that cold air is there, any moisture that comes in is probably going to fall as a winter precipitation. But that's neither here nor there. That is non-existent yet. So we're focused on this storm. We're focused on tomorrow night into Saturday morning, and now Saturday afternoon even. So really, it's going from midday tomorrow to midday Saturday is when you will have your best chance of seeing a rain-snow mix, maybe some light snow. And just looking at this table here, a lot of statistics and figures, but the main takeaway here is this expected snowfall column showing, you know, everyone's getting less than an inch. There's a chance up here on this map, you know, high end amount, you know, this is a 1 in 10 chance, 10% of higher snowfall, 10% chance of that. That's not likely at all. I'd highly doubt this would happen. I would be extremely surprised. I'm going to even close this out because I don't even feel comfortable showing that on here because people tend to misinterpret that. But low end amount, of course, you have your 0. There's always a chance nothing could materialize. So that's kind of where we're at with this storm. It's kind of still a mixed bag in terms of we're kind of expecting to see a transition to snow. If we get some heavy precipitation rates, we'll see that snow fall heavier tomorrow morning, or excuse me, we may see that transition to snow, light snow in the morning, and it'll just be a mix. It'll be fun to watch. So it's kind of be a nowcasting event to see what's going on and to see how the atmosphere is going to try to resolve this storm. But overall, a low impact event and something that'll be interesting to watch into this weekend starting off winter. And I will do a video update tomorrow, and I'll see you in that video. And otherwise, stay safe. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.